Europa. The moon of Jupiter can actually be confirmed as a frozen ice slash water slash whatever the fudge world. Probably thinking I'm smoking drugs. Well, I'm not. You're probably thinking, well, why is it classified this way? And just like Enceladus, Europa and Enceladus might have global oceans under their icy surfaces. So they technically can both be classified as frozen ice worlds. But that brings me to my point, can we colonize Jupiter's moon, Europa? That's from my page here. Perfect. Now, first, I gotta tell you some background history on Europa, just like I did with Venus. I gotta give you some history, because Europa's a little bit of a special moon. It's actually, because of the discovery of Europa, it basically made people understand that Earth wasn't the center of the solar system. And because what we thought that Earth was basically the sun, and everything orbited around Earth. And because of the discovery of Europa, that all changed. So, we now knew that everything revolved around us, and we revolved around the sun. Even the name Europa comes from Greek mythology, from the daughter of a king that was named Europa, so that's pretty interesting. And trust me, Europa's a pretty small moon. We'll just think about that a second. Europa's size only accounts for 969.8 miles in diameter. So we'll just round it up and say it's 970 miles. And its surface gravity, kind of similar to Ganymede's, clocking on 1.315 meters a second. So it isn't major, but cool thing is, it does orbit Jupiter every 85 Earth hours, or in this case, get ready for a complicated number, of 3.54167 days. Pretty complicated number. Get cliched. Or just 3.5 days. We'll just say that. And even what's cooler, Europa does have an atmosphere. And what's in that atmosphere? Water vapor and oxygen is in that atmosphere. That's a really good. What's interesting though is Jupiter actually emits radiation though, and that's what really, really sucks from Jupiter's magnetosphere. And because of this, let's say a solar flare. Let's say it just hits off the sun. It's like, woo, let me just spread my jizz everywhere, and it hits Jupiter. But what happens is it bounces off. But Jupiter also does produce its own radiation naturally because of Jupiter's radiation belt. But still, even though it bounces off and all, it is going to hit all the other moons too. But Europa does have a magnetic field of its own, but it's just not. Like, it's not really that good. But I would really love to see Jupiter like 24 times as closer to us, because that'd be really cool. Like, look up in the night sky, you see the sun, you look to your right, oh my god, there's Jupiter. It'd be great. But one thing is pretty big though. Europa is one of the best candidates for life in the solar system, because it has oceans, it has stuff, lots of good stuff. And evidence shows that hydrogen peroxide, which is actually pretty abundant on Europa's surface, and since hydrogen peroxide, or we'll just say it's H2O2 as its biological naming, decays into oxygen and water when it comes into contact with liquid water. So basically, hydrogen peroxide, when it comes into contact with liquid water and oxygen, or water and oxygen, I should say, makes liquid water. I know that doesn't sound like sense, but it kind of does. And it's a good energy supply for simple organisms like bacteria and all that stuff to live. But, like I said, Europa's a very interesting world. It's very small, but at the same time, it can be icy, which means it's going to be slippery there. Gravity's not that great. And even then, it's not super massive at all. So, a few different things we have to do to colonize Europa properly. One is we'd have to establish a magnetic field. Because of Jupiter's radiation belt, Jupiter's radiation belt is actually 10 times as stronger as Earth's Van Allen radiation belt. And I highly suggest you go research that. That's very good. So, like I said, Europa's magnetic field is not really powerful, so we have to, sock it in the face if we want anything like that. But even with the magnetic field that Europa has, Europa still receives 5.4 sieverts of radiation every day. And keep in mind, the human toleration for radiation is 4 to 5 sieverts. And which means you would literally die on Europa just on its own by radiation. you die of a lethal dose of radiation because it's just too much. But even with the radiation, Europa is like very cold over there. It's not like smoking weed cold. It's like drunk on your butt cold. It's negative 170 degrees Celsius over there, or if we want to be the Fahrenheit nerds, it's negative 274 degrees Fahrenheit over there. So you know they're smoking weed. So how could water even exist? It's such a mystery, honestly, and many really don't know. But moving on from that, and the gravity on Europa, much different than Earth's, because Earth's gravity clocks at 9.8 meters a second, so it's pretty decent. Like I said, but Europa's gravity is 1.315 meters a second. So basically, what I'm saying is, first we need to make the atmosphere more like Earth, because we need to increase the pressure, because the pressure is like bleh. It's all just nuts over there, and we need more oxygen. And if we need to, get carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide's a pretty good, you know, it's source. Okay, it's a good source. Let's see here, because Europa's magnetic field clocks in at, this is really embarrassing, 120 nanoteslas. But at least it needs to be at least 10,000 nanoteslas or more. And keep in mind, to put that into perspective, if you watched my Can We Colonize Mars video, you'll know that Mars's magnetic field clocks in at 1,500 nanoteslas. That means that Europa's magnetic field is literally not even a magnetic field, because it's so small. But it needs to have 10,000 nanoteslas, at least, or 0.10 Gauss units, in order to at least be somewhat habitable. And once water can exist due to the rise in temperature, if we put carbon dioxide there, let's just face it, we could live there. And trust me, Europa has water because of the tidal heating between it and Jupiter. It's very interesting over there. And the next big thing, though, would be how would we establish surface, though, because many believe that Europa is basically just a frozen thing. It's literally like giant ice. It's like Enceladus, because Enceladus is pretty much ice, and Europa, because of its cracks, it might just be frozen ice with very, very slippery slippery land. And because of this, there may not be hardly any terrain on Europa that's physically able to support actual structures. So, if we could somehow establish a good enough surface on the planet, we might have something. So, basically, it's very interesting to think about Europa, because it's one of the, like I said, it's one of the best planets in the, one of the best moons or planets in the solar system for life. So, to end this off on a good note, Europa is a very good contender for the next world to have basically life, and I honestly think that, maybe after Mars, I mean, all that good jazz, that after we go and colonize Mars and do all that, then Europa, if we were to make, you know, a list, then Europa might be the next stop on that list, on the next best habitable planets within the solar system. And even though Mars is like a much good contender, Europa's still a pretty good strong contender. So, you know, just think about that next time you start researching about Jupiter and all of its fabulous moons. And as always, thanks for watching.